Giridhari Madana Mohan Madana Mohan Giridhari Oh ho 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 Giridhari Oh oh Namaste and good morning. So question came up, does God test us? Many different cultures, many different people, to get through the hard times, they say God is testing us. God is testing us. So many people are trying to pass their test. But does God really test us? We are here evolving as human beings, and we must evolve. And sometimes circumstances come in our way for very evolution. So a circumstance will come your way when you need to evolve in that particular way. So if there's a problem that needs lots of courage, then you start building courage. If there's a problem of the heart, then you have to work on the heart, something to do with love and relationship. So if you could think about the things that you're facing right now, the best way to look at it, what am I going to learn from this? How can I do and get through this particular thing? I always like to say, how do I get through my crisis? And from your previous crises, what did you learn? You probably learned so much, so you don't want to repeat that class again. So the time that you know that you could really say you are being tested, whether you say it's God testing you or it's a test of your own self, when the ego comes in, that's your test. Every time you say, my way is the only way, my God is the only God, or my culture is the only one, that's from the ego, and that's where you're being tested. So sometimes when you say, well, my guru is the best guru in the world, is the highest guru, the most empowered guru, that's when you are failing the test. You are failing the test because you personally don't know what the highest guru is. You personally don't know that. So how can you judge that? So it's a conflict within yourself as to say, well, because my guru is the greatest, then I am following the greatest path. So therefore I am so great. It boils down to what you think, and the ego is the one in charge. So our culture, our relationship, our wars, our problems, if you go and you define it to its very beginning elements, it has to do a conflict of ego. Now, some people like to hear things, from scriptures or whatever. So, they say that Christ was tested by what you call the devil or whatever, and tempted it by saying, I'll give you all these powers, if you turn to me. So that's testing the ego. Sri Ram had to get rid of Ravan because he had this big ego. So politicians have some politicians have the great ego, and as people rise in power and money, the ego is the strongest thing that builds up in them. I am so great, I have this. So even in our social media activities, it's like, I want to get 1 million likes. Ooh, that is from the ego. That is from you not loving your own self. So you want to get the love from 1,000 or million people. So some people don't care what they put on yet to become viral. So that's the work of your ego. So everything you can say is rising from the ego of I am this, I am that, I am better, I am, I am worse. That's when you don't even think about yourself, So that is one of the things that separates us from God. It separates us, and it is valid in that for us to experience this world here, we had to come with a sense of separateness. And that's why the ego was born, in order to experience this world. So the ego personality is here to experience this world, to learn your lessons, to become a more evolved human being, to become from human to divine. So in every aspect of life, if you drill down to the very epicenter of problems, it is the ego. In a man and woman relationship, it is the fight for power in the relationship. And that comes from the ego. Well, I am the man, you listen to me. And, or I am the woman, I am better than what you think I am, So these things are there. But what we have, how we have to deal with the ego is we have to think, well, this ego is here to help me evolve and grow. So count it as a measure of your own personality, your own evolution, your own growth, your own spirituality. So compare yourself to what you were, to what you are today. So then in that way, you can use the ego and say, well, I was like that. I learned some lessons and now I am like this, As you study scriptures, you study philosophy, if you even study wars, it is the ego. In the Gita, it's the war of egos there on the battlefield, that caused the very war. So when somebody wants power and they want to take over something, it's the power of the ego that's not in check. So you can use the ego with responsibility. That's why we have the intellect. That's why we have the heart. And so we balance that ego between intellect and heart. Understand that. That is, if you can do that, you can be very successful. And you can learn your lessons. If this is a school, we have lessons for evolution. So what we have going on here now, if you look at past history, there are always cycles of change, cycles of destruction, cycles of building up, cycles when man, as we go through our solar system, goes through the universe, there are different energies that we encounter. It has a little effect, but also when man is very comfortable, he gets restless. If there is no conflict, if there is nothing to look at, because he seems to be engrossed in just entertainment, taste and entertainment. So the tongue, the tongue, you speak this, you speak that, you eat this, you eat that. So that's why the tongue was brought out in Hindu philosophy. And there's much more to talk about time and the tongue and taste and everything. But getting back to our little story here. So right now, so in the past, it is only true we become restless. We become stop believing or stop thinking of what we are doing. We just get restless when things are going straight, So conflicts start happening. And then before you know it, it gets out of hand. So right now, The whole world is in conflict. There are countries struggling for power. And who is leading the country? A human being. And the human being, what is he working on? It is an ego. I am the most powerful man or the most powerful country. So it's not every country, but it's there. So it's the very power of the ego. So the ego mind, personality is important for our growth, but it helps us learn and grow and compare ourselves to who we were and how we are now. So in a way, we have to compare our civilization of the past and what it is now and how it was very destructive. So in times of these crises of death and disease, that is the only time man recognizes his humbleness in the force of his creation. And humbleness is the opposite of the ego. So this is where you look for answers, you go deep into yourself to improve yourself, or look at your life that has passed by, or you look for growth. Many people are reading, they're trying to grow. And that is what this evolution and things that are going on, because that is the only time man becomes humble, through death and disease. And so that is why Mother Nature comes into play. So we know that we are not indestructible, and if we cooperate, it's better than it was, because look at the suffering, look at what's going on. When you drill down deep, it's the ego. Everything boils down to the ego. So you do that, you drill down deep as you can. So it is our duty to you have an ego, but you have to use it in your own growth. Well, I wanted to go to college, so I did it. I went to college. So that's a good way to think of yourself. You worked on something. You wanted to write a book, so you worked on something. So you're doing that. So anyway, this Sunday morning, when I start talking, I go on and on. So I just wanted to leave a little message. And it is your time to really go in your heart and have faith. Believe in this creation, believe in God in whatever manner you want to believe in, and see the truth out there, see the truth that's alive, see the world for what it truly is. Improve yourself. Love yourself. When you love God, God loves you. You cannot go and say, oh, I love everything and everybody. Well, what then? This means nothing, So if we could think every particle in the universe is there for a reason, then that's one way to stop resolving that conflict inside of you. Why is this? Is God testing me? Is God testing me? Remember, if you have to take care of an old person and young person, and something's happening, it's not a test. It's just that it's happening. It is how we learn, we grow, we love, how we create, how we live. It is what life is about. The only time you are tested is when the ego rears its ugly head. So namaste, and have a wonderful day.